Hello? What if I told you the single biggest factor deciding whether you stay strong and independent into your 80s or face a future of frailty and falls isn't some expensive pill or complicated gym routine? For decades, we've accepted muscle loss, a condition called sarcopenia, as an inevitable part of aging. A grim reality, but new research has revealed that the most common advice was missing the point. The secret wasn't a secret at all. It was simply overlooked, hidden in plain sight on the breakfast plate. And get this. The science is now showing you can begin to fight back, measurably improving leg strength. In as little as 24 hours. I'm Dr. Emma Collins, a biomedical scientist with a PhD in biomedical science, specializing in nutrition, aging, and how lifestyle factors influence health. So if you are over 60 and you've ever felt a little unsteady, or noticed that getting out of a chair takes just a bit more effort, then you need to stay with me. If you've ever felt that fear of losing your strength, do me a favor. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because what we're about to uncover could change everything. All right, let's get into the first part of our discussion. We're going to tackle a foundational concept, something that might be happening inside your body right now without you even realizing it. This is the root cause, the very reason why staying strong as we get older feels like such an uphill battle. Part 1. The core problem: anabolic resistance. You know, life has a funny way of teaching us things. When we're young, we feel invincible. We could eat anything, do anything, and our bodies would just bounce back. Building muscle was as simple as lifting a few heavy things, and keeping it seemed to happen automatically. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the rules of the game change. You might still be eating what you consider a healthy diet. You might still be active, walking, gardening, playing with the grandkids, yet you feel a difference. That pickle jar seems to be sealed a little tighter these days. The stairs feel a little steeper. And getting up from a low chair, well, it requires a bit more of a push than it used to. You might have chalked it up to just getting older. A simple, unavoidable fact of life. And in a way, you're right. But it's not the number of candles on your birthday cake that's the real issue. It's a specific biological process that's happening behind the scenes. The scientific name for it is anabolic resistance. Now, I know that sounds complicated, like something out of a medical textbook. But I promise you, the concept is incredibly simple, and understanding it is the first, most important step you can take towards reclaiming your strength and vitality. Let's break it down together. The word anabolic simply means to build up. Think of it as the construction phase in your body. When you eat protein, your body breaks it down into building blocks called amino acids. Anabolic signals then tell your muscles, hey, take these building blocks and use them to repair and build. This process is happening all the time, keeping your muscles strong and healthy. The word resistance is exactly what it sounds like. It means something is pushing back. So, when we put it together, anabolic resistance means your muscles are becoming resistant to the signal to build and grow. They're getting hard of hearing. Let me give you an image that has helped so many people I've worked with finally understand this. Imagine your muscle cells have a tiny volume knob on them. When you were younger, say in your 20s or 30s, that volume knob was incredibly sensitive. You'd eat a good meal with some protein, and your body would send a signal. Click. The volume knob would turn way up, the build muscle music would start blasting, and your muscles would get the message loud and clear. They'd soak up that protein and put it to good use. The response was strong, immediate, and effective. But as we cross the threshold into our 50s, 60s, and beyond, something happens to that little knob. It starts to get rusty. It gets stiff. The connection isn't as clean as it used to be. Now, when you eat that same meal with the same amount of protein, the signal is still sent, but when it reaches the muscle cell, the rusty knob barely turns. The music is faint, like a radio station struggling to come in from a town far away. It's mostly static. Your muscles are there, waiting for instructions, but they can barely hear the command to build. The protein you ate is still floating around, but since the signal is too weak, it doesn't get used properly. Your muscles are essentially starving for building blocks, even when you're eating them. They are becoming deaf to the very thing they need to survive and thrive. This right here is the core of the problem. It's why you can feel like you're losing ground, even when you're trying to do the right things. It's not that you've suddenly become lazy or that your diet has failed you overnight. It's that your body's internal communication system has changed. The signal is being sent, but the receiver is having trouble tuning it in. Now, where does this problem become most critical? Where do we lose the biggest opportunity to fight back against this creeping weakness? It happens at the one meal we've been taught is the most important of the day: breakfast. Let's be honest with each other for a moment and think about the typical American breakfast. What comes to mind? Maybe it's a bowl of cereal with milk, perhaps with a side of toast with jam. Or maybe it's a bagel with cream cheese grabbed on the go. On a good day, it could be a stack of pancakes with syrup or a muffin alongside a glass of orange juice. These are the meals many of us grew up with. They are comforting, they are familiar, and they are unfortunately a perfect recipe for accelerating muscle loss in anyone over the age of 60. Why? They are overwhelmingly high in carbohydrates and sugars, and tragically low in high-quality protein. When you eat a breakfast like that, you're sending a flood of sugar into your system. It gives you a quick burst of energy, sure, but it does absolutely nothing to turn up that volume knob on your muscles. In fact, it does the opposite. It creates a hormonal environment that encourages fat storage and can even increase inflammation, which we'll talk about later. That breakfast is a massive wasted opportunity. It's the single most important moment of the day to send a powerful muscle-building signal, and instead, we are sending a weak, sugary whisper that our resistant muscles can't even hear. We are starting our day in a state of muscle breakdown, not muscle construction. You might be thinking, okay, I understand the problem. My muscles are hard of hearing and my breakfast isn't helping. But is it really that big of a deal? Can a different breakfast truly make a difference that quickly? This is where the science gets really exciting. There was a remarkable study that looked at this exact question. Researchers took a group of older adults and gave them a breakfast that was specifically designed to overcome this anabolic resistance. They gave them a meal that contained 30 grams of high-quality protein. They wanted to see what would happen. Would it actually make a difference? And how long would it take? The results were nothing short of astounding. In just 24 hours, a single day, the participants showed a measurable improvement in their leg strength and function. Let that sink in. This wasn't after a month of hard exercise. This wasn't after some new miracle drug. This was after one breakfast. By simply giving the body the right building blocks, in the right amount, at the right time of day, they were able to turn up that rusty volume knob. The message finally got through. The music started playing, and the muscles responded almost immediately. It was like the body was just waiting, desperately, for the right command to be given. This study proves that we are not helpless in the face of this process. We have the power to change the signal we send to our bodies every single morning. We can choose to fight anabolic resistance, or we can choose to feed it. And it all starts with what's on our plate when we greet the day. The solution is not about eating less. It's about eating smarter, starting with the very first meal. So, now that we understand the enemy, this anabolic resistance, and we know that our traditional breakfast is a missed opportunity, it's time to talk about solutions. We need to figure out how to grab that rusty volume knob and crank it all the way up. We need a way to send a signal so loud and clear that our muscles have no choice but to listen. Let's move on to our first and perhaps most powerful tool. When we talk about protein, most of us think of it as just one thing. We think of a chicken breast, a steak, or a glass of milk. We see it as a single nutrient. But in reality, protein is made up of 20 different building blocks, those amino acids we talked about earlier. Think of them like the 26 letters of the alphabet. You can use them to write a simple word, or you can use them to write a beautiful, complex novel. They are all important, but they are not all created equal. Some of them have very special, very specific jobs. And when it comes to the job of triggering muscle protein synthesis, the actual process of building and repairing muscle, there is one amino acid that is the undisputed king. It's the superstar. the foreman of the construction site, the key that starts the engine. Its name is leucine. Leucine is not just another brick in the wall. It is the signal itself. It is the hand that reaches out and turns up the volume knob. For years, scientists were trying to figure out exactly what it was in protein that flipped the switch for muscle growth. They knew that eating protein worked, but they didn't know the precise mechanism. Then, they discovered leucine, and everything became clear. Leucine has a unique ability to directly activate a pathway in your body called the mTOR pathway. Now, mTOR is another one of those sciencey terms, but just think of it as the master switch for muscle building in your cells. When mTOR is off, nothing happens. Your body is in a neutral or even a muscle breakdown state. But when leucine comes along and activates mTOR, it's like a powerful light switch is flipped on. A cascade of signals begins, telling the muscle cell to open its gates, pull in all the other amino acids, and start building. Leucine is the ignition key to your muscle-building car. The other amino acids come from the protein you eat. They are the fuel. You can have a full tank of the best premium gasoline, but if you don't have the key to turn on the engine, that car is going absolutely nowhere. It will just sit in the driveway. This is exactly what happens when we eat a meal that is low in leucine. We might be taking in protein, but if there isn't enough leucine to turn the key, the engine of muscle growth never even starts. The fuel just sits there, unused, and eventually gets stored away as fat. So, how much leucine do we actually need to get that engine started? This is where the science provides us with a clear, actionable number. Research has shown that for an older adult, someone over the age of 60, dealing with anabolic resistance, you need a specific dose to overcome that rusty, stiff volume knob. That dose is approximately 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine in a single meal. Anything less than that, and the key doesn't quite turn all the way. The engine might sputter a little, but it won't roar to life. You won't get the powerful, muscle-building response you're looking for. But when you hit that 2.5 to 3 gram threshold, it's like magic. The key turns, the mTOR pathway fires up, and the signal is sent with such force that even those resistant, hard-of-hearing muscles get the message loud and clear. To make this even more real, let's use another image. Imagine you're trying to build a campfire on a cool evening. The logs and larger pieces of wood represent the total protein you eat. They hold all the potential for a warm, roaring fire. But you can't just hold a match to a giant log and expect it to ignite. It won't work. You need kindling. And you need a spark. Leucine is that initial, powerful spark. It's the flare that catches the kindling, which then creates a flame hot enough to ignite the big logs. Without that initial, potent spark of leucine, the rest of the protein, the rest of your firewood, is essentially useless for providing warmth and light. You're left in the cold. This is why not all protein sources are created equal, especially for us as we get older. Some foods are naturally rich in this critical spark, while others are not. So, where can we find these high-quality, leucine-rich foods to ensure we're turning the key every single time we eat? The undisputed champion is whey protein. It's a type of protein found in dairy, and it's the most leucine-rich source on the planet. A single scoop of whey protein powder, easily mixed into a smoothie or even just a glass of water, can provide you with that full 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine. It's incredibly efficient and easy for the body to digest and absorb, making it a fantastic tool. But you don't have to rely on powders. Whole foods are wonderful sources too. Let's look at the humble egg. 3 to 4 whole eggs will get you to that magic leucine threshold. They are a powerhouse of nutrition. Think about a beautiful pink fillet of wild-caught salmon. A standard 6-ounce portion will also deliver the leucine you need, along with a host of other incredible nutrients we'll discuss soon. Other great sources include chicken breast, lean beef, and Greek yogurt. The key takeaway here is to stop thinking about just protein and start thinking about leucine. At every meal, but especially at breakfast, you should ask yourself a simple question. Where is my 3 grams of leucine? Is it in these 4 eggs? Is it in this scoop of whey protein in my smoothie? Is it in this generous portion of Greek yogurt with berries? By focusing on this single powerful amino acid, You are ensuring that you are not just putting fuel in the tank, but that you are turning the key to start the engine every single time. This is the first and most direct way to fight back against the silence of anabolic resistance and make your muscles listen again. Now, starting the engine is one thing, but for that engine to run smoothly and powerfully all day long, it needs a good source of energy. It needs high-quality fuel and a clean burning system. This brings us to the second critical piece of our puzzle, the power plants inside your very own cells. If leucine is the ignition key that starts the muscle-building engine, then our next topic is what provides the actual energy to run that engine. We need to talk about the trillions of tiny powerhouses that exist inside almost every cell in your body and are especially dense in your muscle cells. These are your mitochondria. Think of them as little biological batteries, or even better, as the power plants for your body's cities. Your muscles are bustling metropolises of activity. They need a tremendous amount of energy to contract, to move you through your day, and, most importantly for our conversation, to perform the demanding work of repairing and building new tissue. The process of muscle protein synthesis, the one that leucine kicks off, is incredibly energy expensive. It requires a constant, steady supply of power, and that power comes from your mitochondria. When you're young and full of vigor, your cells are packed with healthy, high-functioning mitochondria. They are like brand new, state-of-the-art power plants, efficiently burning fuel and churning out all the energy you need. This is the reason kids can run around all day and seemingly never get tired. Their energy production is through the roof. But, just like with anabolic resistance, the aging process takes a toll on our mitochondria. Two things happen. First, the existing mitochondria become less efficient. They start to produce less energy and more harmful byproducts, like a car engine that's getting old and starting to produce more smoke than power. Second, and this is a critical point, our body's ability to create new mitochondria slows down. So, not only are our old power plants starting to fail, but we're not building enough new ones to replace them. The result of this decline is something I'm sure you've felt. It's that pervasive sense of fatigue that can creep into your day. It's feeling tired even after a full night's sleep. It's losing your stamina, getting winded more easily when you're carrying groceries or climbing a flight of stairs. It's that feeling that your personal battery just doesn't hold a charge the way it used to. Let's stick with that phone battery analogy for a moment because it's perfect. When you get a brand new smartphone, the battery lasts all day, maybe even 2. You can use it for hours, and the battery percentage barely seems to drop. But what about a phone that's 3 or 4 years old? The battery is a shadow of its former self. You charge it all night, and it says 100%, but by mid-morning, it's already flashing a low battery warning. It dies unexpectedly. It just can't hold the same amount of power anymore. Our bodies are the same. As we age, our mitochondrial health declines, which means the total energy capacity of our body battery shrinks. This is a huge problem for our muscles. Even if we use leucine to turn on the switch for muscle building, if there isn't enough energy to power the process, it's like trying to run a whole factory on a single AA battery. The construction workers show up, but there's no electricity to run the power tools. The work just doesn't get done. So, the logical question is, what can we do about it? Can we recharge these tiny batteries? Even better, can we build new ones? The answer, thankfully, is a resounding yes. And once again, it can start with a well-designed breakfast. We need to provide our mitochondria with 2 things: the right maintenance fuel to keep the existing power plants running cleanly, and the special signals to build brand new ones. Let's talk about the maintenance crew first. Certain micronutrients are essential for mitochondrial function. Think of them as the skilled technicians and high-grade oil that keep the engines running smoothly. One of the most important is called coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10. It's a vital component of the energy production process. Foods like salmon, organ meats, and beef are good sources. Another critical group is the B vitamins. They act as spark plugs in the energy creation cycle. And where can we find a wonderful package of B vitamins? In the very same foods we discussed for leucine, eggs and salmon. You see how these things start to connect? A breakfast built around these foods isn't just providing the muscle-building key, it's also providing the fuel for the power plants. But here's where it gets truly transformative. We don't just want to maintain the old, aging power plants. We want to engage in a full-scale infrastructure project. We want to build new, pristine, high-efficiency mitochondria. This process is called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it is the closest thing we have to turning back the clock on our cellular energy. How do we do that? We use a special class of compounds I like to call superfuels. The scientific name for them is polyphenols. These are powerful compounds found in colorful plants, and they act as potent signals in our bodies. When we consume them, they essentially tell our cells, "Hey, we need more power. Build new factories." Then, where do we find these amazing superfuels? They are abundant in nature. Think of the deep, rich colors in berries. Blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries are loaded with polyphenols called anthocyanins. These aren't just for taste. They are powerful biological signals. A handful of mixed berries on top of your Greek yogurt or blended into your whey protein smoothie is one of the best things you can do for your energy levels. Another incredible source is green tea. A compound in green tea called EGCG is famous for its ability to stimulate mitochondrial growth. Swapping your morning coffee for a warm, comforting cup of green tea can have profound benefits. Even the high-quality extra virgin olive oil you might use to cook your eggs contains polyphenols that support your cellular powerhouses. So, let's paint a picture of our new breakfast. We have our eggs or our salmon, providing the leucine to start the engine and the B vitamins to help run it. We have a side of vibrant berries, sending the signal to build brand new power plants. We're not just trying to get through the day anymore. We are actively working to expand our total energy capacity. We are taking that old, worn-out phone battery and not just recharging it, but installing a brand new extended life battery. This combination provides the 1 to 2 punch our muscles need, the signal to build, and the sustained energy to get the job done. But there is one more obstacle we must overcome. There is a silent, invisible force that can jam the signals and drain our energy, no matter how well we eat. We need to address the hidden enemy that is quietly sabotaging our efforts. We've talked about sending the right signal with leucine, and we've talked about providing the energy with mitochondrial support. But what if something is blocking that signal from ever being received? What if there's so much static on the line that the message gets garbled and lost along the way? This is where we need to confront a third, critical factor in the battle for our strength and health: chronic, low-grade inflammation. Now, when you hear the word inflammation, you probably think of something acute and obvious. You sprain your ankle, and it gets red, swollen, and hot. That's acute inflammation. It's a healthy, normal response from your immune system as it sends healing cells to the site of an injury. It's a good thing. But there's another, more sinister type of inflammation. It's not hot, it's not red, and you can't see it. It's a low-level, smoldering fire that can burn inside our bodies for years, even decades, without us ever knowing it. Scientists have given it a specific name because it's so closely linked with the aging process. They call it inflammaging. 1. This chronic, low-grade inflammation is a major contributor to almost every age-related disease we know of, from heart disease to diabetes. But for our purposes today, you need to know that it is a direct enemy of your muscles. It actively sabotages your body's ability to maintain and build strength. How does it do that? In 2 main ways. First, it creates that static on the line we just mentioned. Remember the mTOR pathway, our master switch for muscle building that leucine activates? Well, inflammation directly interferes with that pathway. It's like a heckler in the audience, shouting and making noise while someone is trying to give an important speech. The inflammatory signals create so much biological noise and disruption that the muscle-building signal from leucine gets drowned out. Your muscles become even more deaf, even more resistant, not just because the volume knob is rusty, but because there's a wall of static blocking the sound. Second, and this is a double blow, inflammation doesn't just block the building process, it actively speeds up the breakdown process. It increases the activity of pathways in the body that are responsible for muscle catabolism, which is the opposite of anabolism. It's the demolition phase. So, this silent fire is not only preventing you from laying down new bricks to build your muscle wall, it's also sending a crew to actively pull bricks out of the wall at the same time. It's a devastating 1-2 punch that can rapidly accelerate muscle loss and weakness. The scary part is that many of the staples of our modern diet are like throwing gasoline on this smoldering fire. And once again, the biggest offender is often that traditional American breakfast. Let's do a quick comparison. Picture two different breakfast scenarios. On one hand, you have what we could call the pro-inflammatory breakfast. This is the sweet pastry, the donut, the sugary cereal, or the glass of concentrated fruit juice. When you eat these foods, your blood sugar skyrockets. This massive surge of sugar is a major trigger for an inflammatory response in the body. The refined flours and unhealthy fats often found in these foods also contribute to the problem. This breakfast is literally fanning the flames of inflammaging, creating a hostile environment for your muscles right at the start of the day. Now, on the other hand, let's picture the anti-inflammatory breakfast. Imagine a beautiful scramble of 2 or 3 eggs, cooked gently in a splash of golden green extra virgin olive oil, with a handful of spinach wilted in. On the side, maybe you have a few slices of smoked salmon and a quarter of an avocado. To finish it off, a small bowl of deep purple blueberries. Let's break down why this meal is so different. The eggs provide high-quality protein and nutrients. The olive oil is packed with healthy monounsaturated fats and polyphenols that actively fight inflammation. The spinach provides vitamins and minerals. The avocado offers more healthy fats and fiber. And the salmon, well, the salmon is the superstar here. It is one of the richest sources of a special type of fat called omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 seconds are like the fire department for your body. They are powerful, natural anti-inflammatory compounds. They travel through your system and actively help to quench the flames of that chronic low-grade inflammation. They calm the static on the line, allowing the muscle-building signals to get through loud and clear. Think of them as nature's peacemakers, restoring order and quiet at a cellular level. The berries in this meal also play a vital role. The same polyphenols that help build new mitochondria are also potent antioxidants. They act like bodyguards for your cells, neutralizing unstable molecules called free radicals that are generated by inflammation and contribute to cellular damage. Do you see the profound difference? The first breakfast starts your day by fueling the fire that's actively destroying your muscles. The second breakfast starts your day by deploying a team of elite firefighters and bodyguards to protect your muscles and clear the pathways for growth. One choice accelerates the aging process. The other choice actively fights against it. Fighting inflammaging is about making conscious choices to include these warrior nutrients in your diet every day. It's about choosing salmon or other fatty fish a few times a week. It's about sprinkling chia seeds or ground flax seeds, also rich in omega-3 seconds, onto your yogurt. It's about cooking with olive oil instead of other processed vegetable oils. And it's about eating the rainbow, filling your plate with colorful fruits and vegetables that are packed with these protective antioxidants. By doing this, you are not just providing building blocks and energy. You are creating the right internal environment for your body to thrive. An environment of calm, not chaos. We've covered the what. Leucine to send the signal, mitochondrial support for energy, and anti-inflammatory foods to clear the way. But there's one final, crucial piece of the puzzle. It's not just about what you eat, but when you eat it. The timing of your meals can make all the difference in the world. We have a tendency, in our modern world, to think of the human body as a machine, like a car. You put fuel in the tank, and it runs. It doesn't matter if you fill up the tank at 8 inches the morning or 8 at night. The gasoline works the same way. But this is a fundamentally flawed way to look at a living, breathing organism. Your body is not a machine. It is a garden. It is a finely tuned orchestra. And most importantly, your body is a clock. Deep within our DNA, we have what are known as circadian rhythms. These are 24-hour cycles that govern nearly every process in our bodies, from our sleep-wake cycles to our hormone production to our metabolism. Our bodies are not the same at 8 a.m. as they are at 8 p.m. They are primed for different activities at different times of the day. And this has profound implications for how we should eat to support our muscle health. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. For thousands of years, humans were active during the day, hunting, gathering, working. This was the time for fuel utilization and physical repair. The night was for rest and deeper, systemic recovery. Our bodies are still wired for this ancient rhythm. And the science is now showing us, in incredible detail, that our muscles are most receptive, most sensitive, and most ready to grow during the daylight hours, particularly in the morning. This brings us to the golden opportunity of breakfast. Your muscles, after fasting all night, are in a highly receptive state. They are like dry sponges, ready to soak up nutrients and put them to good use. The cellular machinery for muscle protein synthesis is primed and ready to go. It's waiting for the signal. This is the absolute best time of day to provide that powerful, leucine-rich meal we've been talking about. When you consume that 30 grams of protein with at least 3 grams of leucine in the morning, you are taking advantage of your body's natural built-in rhythm. You are working with your biology, not against it. Let's use our garden metaphor. Imagine you have a beautiful tomato plant. When is the best time to water it? In the morning, of course. You water it in the morning, and the plant has the entire day, with the energy from the sun, to use that water to grow, to create new leaves, and to produce fruit. It puts the water to productive use all day long. Now, what happens if you take that same amount of water and pour it on the plant at 10 o'clock at night? The sun is down, the plant is in its rest cycle. It can't effectively use that water for growth. Most of it will just evaporate or sit in the soil. It's a wasted opportunity. Our muscles are like that tomato plant. Feeding them a large protein meal in the morning is like watering them at the perfect time. They have the rest of the day while you are active and moving to use those building blocks to repair and strengthen themselves. It sets you up for a whole day of anabolism, of building up. Now, consider the typical eating pattern for many Americans. It's often a very light, carbohydrate-heavy breakfast, the donut or cereal. Then a rushed, often mediocre lunch. And then the biggest meal of the day is dinner, eaten late in the evening. We essentially starve our muscles of quality protein all day, during their most receptive hours. Then, we flood them with a huge amount of protein right before we go to bed, when our metabolism is slowing down and our bodies are shifting into rest mode. We are watering the plant at night. It is a completely backwards approach that fails to align with our natural biological rhythms. Optimizing your results is not about eating more food overall, but about redistributing it. The research is very clear on this. It's far more effective to have a protein-rich breakfast and a protein-rich lunch than it is to skip protein early and try to make up for it with a giant steak at dinner. By front-loading your protein intake, you are giving your muscles the raw materials they need, exactly when they are best able to use them. This concept of timing, of aligning our meals with our body's internal clock, is the final piece that ties everything together. It takes our powerful solutions, leucine as the key, mitochondrial support as the energy, and anti-inflammatory foods as the protectors, and ensures they are deployed at the moment of maximum impact. It creates a powerful synergy. You wake up. Your body is naturally primed for muscle building. You give it a breakfast with whey protein or eggs for a potent dose of leucine, turning on the mTOR switch loud and clear. You add in berries and maybe some green tea, providing the polyphenols to fuel your mitochondria and build new ones. You cook your eggs in olive oil and add a side of avocado or salmon, delivering the anti-inflammatory omega-3 seconds to clear the communication pathways. You are doing everything right at exactly the right time. This is how you stop the slow, silent decline of muscle loss. This is how you fight back against anabolic resistance. It's not a complicated diet. It's not about deprivation. It is a simple, profound shift in understanding. It's about seeing your body as the incredible, living, rhythmic organism it is, and giving it exactly what it needs when it needs it most. It all starts tomorrow morning with a new way of thinking about breakfast. Of course. Here is the conclusion. Written in a natural, conversational style suited for an American audience over 65 and optimized for AI text-to-speech narration. So, here we are. We've spent some time together and we've covered a lot of ground. I want you to just take a moment and let it all sink in. Because you did it. What you just discovered isn't just a collection of nutrition tips. Not at all. You've learned the very language your body speaks. We pulled back the curtain on that tricky thing called anabolic resistance, how our muscles can become a little hard of hearing as the years go by. We found the ignition key, leucine, that turns the engine of muscle growth back on. We talked about those tiny powerhouses, our mitochondria, and how to give them the fuel they need to keep our energy battery charged and strong. We learned how to fight back against that silent, smoldering fire of inflammation, and how choosing the right foods can calm the static and let the good signals through. And finally, we saw that our body is a clock, a beautiful, natural rhythm, and that working with that rhythm starting in the morning is the key to unlocking everything. You now understand the root cause of why so many of us feel our strength slipping away, and you have the tools to send the right signals at the right time. After 60, your body isn't broken. It's not failing you. It has just become more selective. It's waiting for a clearer, more powerful signal. And now, you know exactly how to send it. Now, I know this can feel like a lot of information, and I am not asking you to change everything in your life overnight. That's not how real, lasting change happens. I'm just asking you to do one thing. A single, simple thing. Tomorrow morning, I challenge you to make one small change. Just one. If you usually have toast with jam, maybe try 2 or 3 eggs instead. If you normally have a sugary cereal, perhaps you could try some Greek yogurt with a handful of berries. That's it. Just one meal. One small step. That is how every great journey begins. And because we're on this journey together, I want to build a community of people who are all taking back control of their health. It helps to know you're not alone. So if you feel inspired, if you feel a little spark of hope from what we've talked about today, I'd love for you to go to the comments section and just type the words, "I'm ready." That's it. I'm ready. It's a signal to me and to yourself that you're taking that first step. I read every single comment, and I'd be honored to hear from you. Please always remember this. You are so much stronger than you think you are. Your body has an incredible innate capacity for health and vitality. This isn't an ending. This is a brand new beginning. The journey to reclaiming your strength has just started. Breakfast is not just the beginning of your day. It is the beginning of the rest of your life. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you'd like to continue on this path together, please consider subscribing to the channel. We have so much more to explore.